This region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
There's a lot of self-proclaimed geniuses out there that know the national yield, but they're all wrong.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
At this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, December 29th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you get any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here at March corn down 3 at 447. January soybeans were down 6 at 10.52 3/4, and March Chicago wheat was down 3 1/4 at 5.15 3/4. This morning we had an export sales announcement of 100,000 metric tons of soybeans to Egypt. That was for 25. No other announcements here this morning. We've got another holiday week. We will have full markets on Wednesday, which is New Year's Eve. We'll have no markets on Thursday, and then we'll have a full session hard open at 8:30 on Friday, followed by a normal close at 1:20 Central. We've got a lot of volatility here in the outsides this morning, guys. Gold, after being higher overnight, down $130, and silver's off. It's been close to 7-8% here this morning, down 488. So certainly whipsawing around in the outside markets. Wednesday is going to be first notice day for January futures. So get in touch with your consultant if you've still got any of those positions floating around that need to be cleaned up. Dustin, I hope you guys had a nice weekend. Why don't you share a few thoughts with us here as we start the week, and then we'll throw around the room.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, I think, silver and gold are like the, commodities we don't really deal in, but they're relative to what we trade, obviously, because it's a signal of maybe hard asset strength that the dollar is really just weakening against hard assets. This is a weird time, though, because it really hasn't been followed by the energy markets or grains for that matter. So the question is it just a speculative bubble that's causing this, or is there a rush out of the currency into hard assets that will eventually make its way to grains? That would be the $1 million question. But last time silver did this in 2000, I think it was 2011. It was an overnight high, new all-time high to basically to a low by Monday morning, and that was it. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very inflationary, in my opinion, still long term about grains, and I think silver trading into the 80s is a signal that the dollar is losing its value, and that could be long term friendly for commodities, especially when you get into the rebalancing and picking what they think is probably a cheaper hard asset to own. As far as grains go, I think some of the headlines over the weekend, we had, peace talks, Trump saying Ukraine's ready for peace. That's a bearish headline. The Chinese showing the biggest show of force encircling Taiwan. That's a fairly bearish headline, right? Because that's complete escalation between the East versus West. So we got some sales to Egypt, like you mentioned, but there's really no other major news. We're just waiting on a catch up of COT data this week, and I don't know what defines good price action. I think once you get out of illiquid holiday markets and you see how funds are positioning into the new year, I think that's a better definition of where prices are going to head. It's hard to know coming out of a Sunday night in a holiday market if this is the right direction or not.
Yeah, very good. Ben, what's your thoughts here as we start the week?
Yeah, the metals, they raised margin requirements in silver. That probably gets some people spooked. There were rumors flying around all weekend about a major bank not being able to meet margin calls. So you just, those things, when you get up here, the volatility in silver is insane. Last night it was all over the place and eventually wound up going significantly lower. Last time I checked, geopolitically, I think the grains are are going to be more eyes on what's going on in and around Taiwan. This is not unprecedented, right? Militaries of the world love to train their troops in the areas where they expect they may have to attack or defend. Gives them, location-specific training, which that's the goal, is to try to train people in environments in which they have to fight. And I don't think China is going to do something crazy like that. I don't think they're in a great position, but some of the historical conflicts we've ever had have come when places can get more desperate, and that looks like their best outcome. So maybe there's a bigger picture evolving from that front, but for now it looks like I wouldn't even call it saber rattling. I think it's presence, sending a message of being displeased with the arms deal that the U.S. had with Taiwan, and trying to show a little bit of strength. So we'll see. Thin grain markets can always be vulnerable in either direction. I think ultimately we come down to what do we see in the January report. That's one that can affect our balance sheets. My concern is that we're showing the good side of it recently in exports. Ryland brought up that we're exporting grain to Mexico to feed cattle down there because of restrictions, and they're not really reducing that off the feed balance sheet. So playing a shell game concerns me. Dustin's touched on that before. Maybe you get a yield reduction and then they lower feed by the level that maybe they should have been ratcheting it down in the last couple months. So it comes down to the 12th. Demand for corn is excellent. South American weather, I think you have to keep an eye on there. It continues to stay really wet. The possibility that we could see maybe some delayed harvest, which would delay safrinha planting and keep U.S. in the game longer in the export realm. So a lot of things in the next couple of weeks, I think, that really bear watching for grains. So we'll see if anyone wants to participate today, or anyone feels like they really have to do something in the grains. But I don't know why anyone would want to hammer corn other than they feel like geopolitical risk is really big with China. So we'll see bean cancellations or something like that.
Very good. We'll move over to livestock here. Pretty quiet in cattle and hogs. Nothing really, not much shaking out. Low volume trade, kind of lowest volumes we've seen in a while. Feels like we know the news. Just trying to get through holiday markets here. So I guess, what are your thoughts here as we start the week?
Right. It does seem like everything's kind of gotten throttled by the holiday, but we did see cash relatively firm. It's just volumes were very low, so we're still in that kind of holiday mode right now. So overall, it just feels like cash market's still pretty firm. I mean, we did see beef prices start to weaken up towards the end of last week, but once again, it just feels like could kind of go really either way at this point. Kind of feels like overall the market just is kind of stuck right now, more of a sideways pattern. So I think you need some kind of news to really shake it out at this point, especially once we get past the holiday. So overall, it just seems like that's really where the focus is going to be. But nobody wants to screw up their year too bad, so it just feels like it's probably going to be a lot of sidelined money right now overall, without any kind of fresh news on that cattle side. And same thing on hogs. We did see a nice little rebound in the cutout, but once again, volumes were super light. We did see that kind of weakness prevail in the futures market. So overall, just once again, it just seems like cash is kind of an afterthought right now. Everybody kind of following the profit, the pork market at this point. So yeah, just not a lot of fresh news. It just seems like we're limping into the holiday, kind of sandwiched between some major moving averages right now. And yeah, I could definitely use some news, but likely I don't think it's going to get anybody too whooped up till in the new year.
Nope, it's going to be pretty quick news days here, unless something happens, and we'll certainly bring it to you. But we're not going to beat a dead horse. I think we've touched on a lot. So with that, we will wrap for the day. A couple things to point out again. We will have an export sales announcement, sales report, on Wednesday. That'll be on New Year's Eve. That'll get us caught up through the week of December 18th. So then after that, we'll only have a couple more reports to be fully caught up, which is nice. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the holiday week markets, we're going to have full close on Wednesday, no markets Thursday, and back for a full day on Friday. We appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so, and it'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live at 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. Hope everybody has a great day, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.